And talking about the way you feel, you probably feel pretty bad if you were a victim of cybercrime. And Lordy knows there's a whole lot more victims of cybercrime out there these days. The thieves seem to be becoming more and more technical. And for the first time, a Norton study has calculated the cost of global cybercrime. And it's huge. And also the amount of victims out there, including here in New Zealand. Well, to talk cybercrime with us this morning, it's Sean Lyons, who is the Chief Technical Officer at Netsafe this morning. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
Now, this study has some pretty astounding figures. Do you have the study there in front of you?
I do indeed.
What is the global cost of cybercrime?
Well, they're talking about an estimated cost of $388 billion US, which is that's a kind of amount of money I don't think I can even get my head around, to be honest.
No, that's probably a few swimming pools or something. Who knows? It's a lot. It's probably more than the US government has.
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah. But that is huge. And where's that going predominantly? Do we know?
It's going into organised crime. Is the general feeling. I mean, we've often thought about cybercrime on small scale, and individuals ringing us up and ripping us off. But the truth is, with those figures, when you look at it in comparison to the kind of the global drug trade, I mean, it's bigger than the combined marijuana, cocaine, and heroin trade. Apparently.
Wow.
So this is serious money, which generally means there are serious organisations behind it.
Because there's more resources going into the war on drugs than there is to cybercrime.
Well,
sure.
I mean, I guess the war on drugs is a much more visible one, and it's more accepted and more talked about. But there's a lot more money, by the looks of things, disappearing down the internet than there is along smuggling lines.
So how many victims are we talking about here?
Oh, I mean, globally, the numbers are enormous. I'm not entirely sure. I know that roughly the estimate for New Zealand is about, scales down a little bit to about 2,500 people. But
is that per day, though?
But 2,500 people across the year.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
So for us, it's kind of it's a smaller end of the scale, but it's still a significant amount of money.
But then again, I guess that depends on what your definition of cybercrime is, because you don't necessarily need to have money stolen from you, do you, for it to be, for you to be a victim?
No. I mean, I guess when it comes to cybercrime, I guess you really need to be looking at someone breaking a law. But the truth is that there's an awful lot of people losing personal information and being, harassed, those kind of things, without necessarily losing money. And those things can be pretty damaging. We speak to some people in some pretty horrible states. Because of not because of money loss, but because of the other things that go on.
But I guess an example, just in the past few weeks, say a lot of people with Twitter accounts were getting direct message spam, and then they would click on a link, and then it would take them to a phishing page, where they'd put in their Twitter details, and then suddenly they'll find that their account has been hijacked. No money's been stolen from them, but suddenly they are a victim of some kind of cybercrime, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, even that on its own, I mean, that for people who are avid tweeters to lose control of their Twitter account and not be able to tweet anymore is an awful thing. But part of what's going on with it often is that people are trying to build up a series of tools, Twitter, other parts of people's online lives, in order to build a profile of them, in order to impersonate them, and that's often to try and scam money out of people that they know.
Yeah. Are the criminals getting smarter, or is it just that people are getting more complacent online?
I think, like, unfortunately, with any technology, with time and experience, things mature. And I think the truth is that yes, the criminals are probably getting better. If we look back 3 or 4 years ago, and you look at the kind of the quality of email-based scams that we used to see, they were written in terrible pidgin English. Yeah. They were they were poorly constructed from email addresses that were obviously from another part of the world. That they have gotten better because there are better tools at their disposal. The scammers are using Skype and all sorts of things to pretend they're calling from one country, and all of these things help convince people that the scam is more legitimate.
Yeah, I get those Skype ones all the time. I get a little message from Heidi over in Europe somewhere saying, "Hey, I like the look of you. I found you on Skype. You want to chat?"
I thought that was just me. She's talking to you too.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just an example of where they're seeing, there's some advantage here in using this voice over the internet technology. It makes our lives easier. It also makes the scammers' lives easier. There's a database of people out there using it. Let's exploit that and see if we can grab some money off.
Are we hearing of people being befriended on, say, Facebook by scammers overseas?
I've not heard of people using, kind of setting up specific profiles for scamming. But what we do see an awful lot is people getting their Facebook accounts hacked and then getting those used to scam people. But then in saying that, as part of a kind of long, slow con job, people will be using Facebook and all sorts of other accounts to try and convince others out there that they are legitimate, that they are who they say they are.
And of course, the thing now, though, is that most people, or a lot of people anyway, probably not most, but have smartphones and are continuously connected to the net, and therefore are continuously at risk.
Yeah, look, I think we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of mobile and smartphone cybercrime. I think people are beginning to see people who own smartphones see the value in them in terms of making their life easier and constantly being on the go and constantly being connected. But I think we're only just beginning to dawn on us as a nation that also means that we're constantly at risk of being a victim of cybercrime. So I think things like mobile security on phones is something that people are slowly getting used to. But there's still an awful lot of people out there wandering around in blissful ignorance, thinking my computer at home is all safe, but this thing in my pocket I don't really have to worry about.
So what are some hard and fast tips to keep yourself protected?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it, a lot of people often think of as common sense stuff, and I know that can seem a little bit condescending sometimes. But the very basics in terms of your security is that there should be some kind of software running on your computer that protects you against viruses, against malware, against the very basics of security issues, and that you should also have some kind of firewall that kind of controls what comes in and out of your computer. So that's what we call the net basics. But to be honest with you, it's not just the security that people need to think about. People need to kind of apply a kind of, it's almost like a measure twice, cut once idea when you're transacting with people on the net that you maybe don't know so well. Think very carefully about what it is that it is you're doing. Are you really sure that you know this person well enough? Are you really sure that a wire transfer is a good way to buy that boat? So think very carefully before you transact. We know that things are tempting. We know that scammers use that kind of act now or you'll lose it kind of mentality, and we know that often that they come to people with really great deals. But just think carefully, check things out, do your homework before you commit any money to anything. Some great tips here. Thanks very much, Sean. My pleasure. Cheers. That's Sean Lyons, who's the Chief Technical Officer at Netsafe, talking about the Norton Symantec cybercrime report that's just come out. It's now 7